Chapter 9 of Book 6, And Then It Happened. The Fire. If there was one thing our principal, Mr. Evans, always stressed, it was the importance of fire safety. Danglemore Public School had more fire drills than any other school around. And during the fire drill, Mr. Evans would run around with a stopwatch, a whistle, and a clipboard, hollering instructions, taking head counts, and timing us. When the drill was over, he would check the stopwatch and grin proudly, because nothing made our principal happier than a good fire drill. At the end of the school year, we would have an assembly, and the local fire chief would present Mr. Evans with a fire safety trophy for the most fire-safe school in town. The trophy would go into the trophy case with all the other fire safety trophies. Our school didn't have many sports or academic trophies, but we sure had a lot of fire trophies. We students knew how important these trophies were to the teachers and the principal, so we always worked hard to win. From the first day we had entered junior kindergarten, we were taught the 4 golden rules of fire safety. 1. Stop. Stop everything you're doing when you hear the fire alarm and get quickly and quietly in line at the door. 2. Drop. If you see smoke, drop to the floor and crawl so the smoke doesn't get in your eyes and lungs. 3. Roll. In the event that you are on fire, roll around on the floor and put out the fire. 4. Do not hide. Never hide in a closet or a washroom. If you see a firefighter, run towards him, never away from him. Grade after grade, year after year, Mr. Evans made sure that our teachers taught us these rules. Nothing in our school was more important than fire safety. If a kid got a detention, he had to write out the 4 rules 100 times. We knew that we were the safest and smartest school in the country when it came to fire safety. Fortunately, in the history of our school, there had never actually been a fire. Until today. After morning recess, our teacher told us that in addition to having our eyes tested, our teeth checked, and our flu shots, we were now going to have our hearing tested. The hearing test was to take place in the library. The library was the quietest spot in the school. So what we were supposed to hear, I don't know. We trooped down to the library and saw that headphones had been placed on all the tables, 1 pair for each of us. The windows and doors had been sealed to keep any noise out. The idea was that we would put on the headphones and listen to various sounds and mark down what we heard on a worksheet in front of us. The test sounded simple and painless. Mrs. Hogsworth decided to have her ears tested along with the rest of us, and that was why none of us heard the fire alarm. Halfway through the hearing test, a fire was accidentally started by a workman trying to fix something in the storage room. The school supply of art paper caught on fire. Smoke and flames billowed out into the hallway. While the rest of the school from junior kindergarten to grade 8 was executing a very orderly, well-practiced evacuation, our class sat in the silent library, listening to beeps and hums through our headphones. We heard and smelled nothing. Glancing up from my worksheet, I was surprised to see smoke in the hallway outside the library. I reached over, poked Paulo with my pencil. He looked up, saw the smoke, and poked Gordon with his pencil. And Gordon, looking up, saw the smoke. He leaned over and poked our teacher very gently with his pencil. Mrs. Hogsworth is an experienced teacher. Well into her 40s, or maybe even her 50s. She has taught for over 25 years and nothing surprises her anymore. She rarely gets excited and hardly ever raises her voice. She tends to sigh a lot and roll her eyes, but that's about as worked up as she gets. When she saw the smoke, however, she jumped up and waved her arms to get our attention. Everyone saw the smoke and removed their headphones. We could hear the fire alarm ringing loudly, but fortunately there was no panic, because if there was not one thing we knew, it was fire safety. "There's too much smoke for us to try to escape now," said the teacher, "but let's not forget our fire safety rules. We will just have to wait to be rescued by the fire department." We heard the blare of the fire trucks as they raced into the schoolyard, and then the sound of the firefighters' voices as they called instructions to each other. We sat calmly in the library, knowing that Mr. Evans, clipboard in hand, would inform the fire chief that our class had not evacuated the building. We were confident that any second now, a whole team of professional firefighters would burst through the door to get us out. A few minutes passed, and still we sat there, trapped in the library. We started to glance around nervously. Surely Mr. Evans had done a head count and come up 26 heads short. Where were our rescuers? All of a sudden, the door to the library burst open and a lone firefighter strode confidently into his room. And then it happened. Every kid in the class suddenly and at the exact same moment remembered fire safety rule number 4. When you see a firefighter, run towards him. Before the poor firefighter knew what hit him, he was buried under an avalanche of students. Mrs. Hogsworth was shocked. Before she could order us to get off the struggling firefighter, the fire chief came down the hall shouting that the fire was out. Noticing the boots of the firefighter sticking out from under a pile of kids, he shook his head angrily. "Firefighter O'Connor, quit playing with those kids. I told you to tell everyone that the fire is out and to evacuate the building until the smoke clears." We climbed off the firefighter, and he slowly sat up, looking dazed and stunned. But, he stammered. Then he rolled his eyes and let out a loud sigh. Mrs. Hogsworth looked at him sympathetically and said, "You're lucky. You just have to save them. I have to teach them." Danglemore Public School did not win the fire safety trophy that year. Mr. Evans looked deeply saddened as he announced our loss to the entire school at the end of the year assembly. It was also the last time that we had our hearing tested at school. More tomorrow.